Hello again, friends, and welcome to another episode of Talky Hippo. I know it's been a little while since the last episode, but I think I had a realization recently, and that was, this podcast. It's meant to be for fun. It's not like a professional experiment or a project that needs to have a deadline. So I figured why try to rush the episodes? I tried at first to do them every week or so, but well, it turned out, as you could see, that didn't happen according to plan. But I figured, maybe an episode a month or two that might do well. So last one was before Halloween, and here we are in November. Or for those of my listeners in America, this is shortly before Thanksgiving, and I just wanted to say a happy holiday season to everyone out there. I hope that those who can have time away from school or from work can spend time with their loved ones and family. And I hope that you have a place you can go to. I hate to hear that people have been alone for the holidays. And I know some people would prefer to be alone, but I feel that people shouldn't have to be alone on the holidays. And I know the holidays mean different things to different people, so to each their own, I suppose. But all the same, a happy holidays to everyone, especially those who do not have a place to stay. And my heart goes out to you. Uh, it reminds me, I actually was talking to my cousin Morton last week. I suppose you would remember Morton from the first episode of the podcast. I told you about how sadly Morton was bullied when he was younger, and how things have gotten better, it seems. And it turns out I really need to stay in contact with Morton a little more often. I knew that Morton had a child, but apparently he has had another one recently, and his first one is he's gotten so much older than I anticipated. Apparently, his firstborn child is already 14, 15 years old. He's about to get his driver's license. And, the reason this came to mind is he talked to me when I called him the other day, and he said, Mr. Hippo, I've got something to tell you. And I said, well, Morton, you're my cousin, your family. You can talk to me if you need to talk. I'm here. I can listen. I can give you insight if I'm able to on the situation. It depends on what you're referring to. And he said, well, cousin, the issue at hand is that well, it turns out that Gregory was his firstborn child. For those curious, he said, cousin, Gregory came out to me the other day, and I said, well, what do you mean, cousin? Morton, your son came out to you? Did something happen? Or he said, no, 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 cousin, you don't understand. Gregory, he came out of the closet to me, and I said, oh, Morton, you're telling me that your son? Yes, yes, cousin. That's what I'm telling you. Is that Gregory seems to like other boys, and well, I needless to say, I was shocked, but I didn't really have too much insight on the matter. The last time I had seen young Gregory, he was about 5 years old. It was so long ago. Well, I said, cousin, is everything all right? Is he all right? Are you all right? I know this can be tough on families. And he said, well, cousin, honestly, I feel like things have actually gotten better since he told me. And I said, really? You feel things have gotten better? And he said, well, cousin, Gregory seemed to be under some sort of stress for the past year or two. And honestly, I think this was just bottled up for so long that he felt that he couldn't come out to me or his mother, and that he was keeping it inside, and I think it was just eating at him. Well, I know quite a few friends who have gone through similar situations. It's not easy when you have something big like that weighing on your heart. And I asked Morton, I said, well, Morton, how did you react to the situation? And he said, well, honestly, cousin, Gregory is my son, and he's been my son for 15 years, and he's always going to be my son. So I told him that I loved him no matter what, and that it's okay to love who you love, as long as as long as you're being smart with what you're doing, and you don't let your heart get broken. it's okay for you to love who you love. And needless to say, I was very proud of my cousin. You know, we hippos we're not from the recent eras. We're pretty old nowadays, and I know so many people our age that wouldn't have seen it that way. And I guess that's why it brought me up. I brought this up, I should say. I brought it up because I hear so many tales during the holidays of people who don't have homes to go to because their parents actually kicked them out. They disowned them because of something like that, something that they have no control over. And I assure you, from things that I've seen personally, I cannot imagine a single person wanting to go through the torture, the horrible things that these people have to go through by choice. I don't understand why parents would even think that their child is any different than the child they've had before. It really shouldn't matter. But I gotta say to everyone out there of that community, my heart goes out to you. I wish you a safe place to stay for the holiday season. And if I'm be speaking from the heart, if I was able to, I would open my home to each and every one of you this holiday season. If you're here for the winter holidays, you can bet you'll have a present under the Christmas tree, just like I have for Orville. And I mean that. I would treat you as my own because no one should be unloved, let alone at the holiday season. And for those who are Jewish or celebrate other holidays, I would be welcoming you into my home too. And we'd celebrate Hanukkah. I'd get a menorah so we can light it for you. We'd be able to try to do the celebrations that you want to do and that you deserve to do because you deserve to be loved. I apologize that got rather dramatic, rather serious for a moment. I will tell you to ease the tension. There's a lot that happens during this time of year that is good, and you see charities of helping people, and they used to do the Christmas angels, I believe my mother used to call it, where or you could pick a selection. They at the mall they would have a tree, and they would have little angels with names and gift requests on it, and you could specifically get a child the gift that they wanted, which I think is a little more special than some of the other ones. Toys for tots, it's nice, but when you have a child that really wants something and you're able to get it for him, that's just nice. And you know what? Speaking of the holidays, it's getting to that time of year, isn't it? The chilly weather and potential snow flurries. Unfortunately, no snow here at the moment. Well, I say unfortunate. I'm not sure if it's fortunate or not. I've always been a fan of the white Christmases. But some people they can't handle it the way they try to. They can't drive in the snow, or they can't move around too much. It puts them in a tizzy, and needless to say, we don't need to deal with that. But I'll tell you what, I was talking to my good friend Orville over hot cocoa recently about all the stuff that recently happened, and well, he knows me so well. He knew that I had a serious conversation to talk to him about, and he said, "You know what? Before you start, let me make you some hot cocoa, because, well, he knows. He knows hot cocoa is the way to calm me down and keep me level headed and not get too heated. Plus, it's a good way to warm up during the cold winters. And let me tell you something about my good friend Orville. He makes the most amazing hot chocolate. It's hard to put it into words until you try it yourself. And believe it or not, after I had done explaining the situation to him, I told him, I said, Orville, I said, friend, your hot chocolate is always the best hot chocolate in the world. And it's a delight every time I make it. Honestly, I wish everyone could try your hot chocolate recipe. And believe it or not, he took it upon himself and he said, friend, what if I gave you the recipe? And I said, friend, you would do that for me? And he said, my friend, I will give you the recipe. I'll write it down, and if you want, you can put it on that podcast of yours. You can tell everyone about this hot chocolate recipe, and they can try it for themselves. So I actually have it right. Where did I put that paper? Just a moment. There it is. There it is. Okay, let's see. All right. So, in order to make Orville's hot chocolate for the winter, which is a really wonderful dish. Now, I will tell you, this is for two servings minimum. It was made as a small batch for me and Orville, but needless to say, you can adjust as accordingly. But for this particular instance, the example would be if you're using 2 packs of the instant hot chocolate. It's easier to equate it to that, and you can if you're making a bigger batch, you can adjust accordingly to the amount that you're trying to make. But a small cup for each of us, or one larger cup for anyone who just wants to try it. It's the following. It's 2 packets or the equivalent of instant hot chocolate, uh, the directional amount of the steamed or hot milk or water or whatever it says on the packet, how much to add to it. Follow that directly for the 2 packets or the equivalent. And you can use water. I personally prefer to use milk, but if you use water, that's fine. I'm sure the taste will still be amazing. And he does often use the milk chocolate, but I'm sure the dark chocolate tastes just as good, if not even better. I'm a fan of the dark chocolate, but anyway, I'm getting off track here. It's it's 2 packs following the directions of the hot chocolate, but before you add the cocoa mix to the milk or water or whatever you're using, put it aside, put it in a small bowl, and to it you add a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon, a little dash of nutmeg, and to your steamed milk or water, you add a half teaspoon of vanilla. All these flavors, they mix together so well. When you have your cinnamon, your nutmeg, and your hot cocoa powder mixing, you mix it up with a little spoon. Make sure not to make a mess because the powder will get everywhere. Yeah, I made a little mess myself when I tried to make it at home, but needless to say, you mix that up together. You pour the milk and water with the vanilla on it into the mix, and you mix it all together. It makes it nice and creamy. The cinnamon really brings out the cocoa flavoring. The nutmeg, it's just a little dash, a little sprinkle. If you have one of those canisters that has the holes, and you can just sprinkle on top, just a little bit of a sprinkle. And the vanilla, just oh, it's so good. My mouth is watering just thinking about it. But I tell you what makes it all perfect is most people they get the hot chocolate with the mini marshmallows, or they get marshmallows of their own, or some people even get whipped cream. Any of that is fine. But if you want to make it like Orville makes it, he actually gets the what do they call it, the marshmallow fluffy cream, the marshmallow cream stuff, and he just takes a big spoonful and just gently dollops it right on top of the hot cocoa. Now the reason this makes it so much better. You get the flavor of the marshmallows, but unlike the ones that come in the hot cocoa mix or the whipped cream, it doesn't melt as fast. You still get that creaminess slowly mixing into it, but you also have just a big bunch of marshmallow on top. You can slowly enjoy that as you're slowly sipping on your hot cocoa. It's so good. You really need to try it. In fact, reminds me of another recipe. I might have to save that one for the next episode, because it really is more of a festive holiday tea, believe it or not, and I'll share that then. But I believe that's all the time we have for today. So thank you for listening. I know we touched on a little bit of a serious topic, but thank you for listening. I hope you try the hot chocolate. I hope you enjoy the hot chocolate. And thank you once again for joining me for another episode of Talky Talky Hippo.